you. So now we're going to move on to some questions more pertaining to the LGBT community. So we wanted to know, how do you identify in terms of the community, and do you feel like your identification has at all affected, your school, your job, and your living location choices?
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly I identify with the LGBT community as a gay member. I've always, since I've come out, been involved with the LGBT community in school, been a member of the LGVMA, the Lesbian, Gay, Veterinary Medical Association. I contribute every quarter to their newsletter as well, which has been great. And then they're helping me they facilitated, I think, me coming here today, so that's been great as well. So in school, it really wasn't an issue. Like, once I felt comfortable with myself and coming out, everything was fine, and I was equally accepted by my peers. I don't want people to kind of interact with me and think the first thing, oh, like, he's gay. I don't think that's the most important thing. I'm a person, I'm a professional, I'm a partner, I'm an athlete. There's a lot of things that I do, and so just being gay is not the only thing. So I want to respect other people's comfort level with it as well. I'm not going to force them. I'm not going to lecture them on gay marriage if they are absolutely 100% vehemently opposed to it. But I will bring up the idea about it and how it pertains to professionalism too with my clients. If they want to know about my personal life and I get to know them, I will talk to them about that. Being in West Hollywood, there's a high likelihood that if I don't have a wedding ring on and I'm a 30-something-year-old male, that I'm probably gay. It's just kind of like the default thing. And working at the first veterinary practice that I did in West Hollywood, there was one other gay vet, and everybody was very comfortable and open about it. There was never any hiding. It was embraced, it was welcome, and working with so many LGBT community members, they, I think, feel comfortable coming to somebody that understands their situation. And when I've actually spoken before in writing about why I feel that's one of the reasons that people come to me, I've been criticized for that. I've had people make comments on articles that I've written that I don't want to go to a vet just because they're gay, I want to go because they're a good vet. But in West Hollywood, I get people coming to me because I understand them. I understand their home situation and their relationships and the complicated dynamics that can go into it, and the trends and patterns that seem to happen in the veterinary community as well, and how that affects pet health. So it's been very good being an out gay member of the LGBT community for personal reasons and for business reasons as well.
Right, that's interesting about the intersection of this LGBTQ identity and your professional life. And I was interested to know if you find that there's a higher acceptance rate of like the LGBT population in terms of alternative medicine, or if that's even a thing. I ask this because I feel like a lot of LGBTQ people, as people who do get persecuted in society, they might have a more open mind to things. And so I was just wondering if you'd seen a trend like that, if you have more LGBT clients who are more accepting of holistic medicine. I
think in having been working primarily for myself for 3 years to my own business now, I would have to say probably about close to 50% of my clients are LGBT community members. And I think that being in California and being in West Hollywood and working with people that are in the media business, there's more of an acceptance of being an LGBT member in the first place. And then also they are often more accepting of different practice styles besides just conventional practice. And certainly I think with one thing with LGBT pet owners, very often their pets are their children or equivalent of it. So they're looking to do whatever they can to try to make them as healthy as possible. That sometimes means exploring more alternative types of treatments. They're more willing to do so.
I know we hit on this earlier in terms of mentors. You mentioned, a particular advisor you had at Penn that really helped you. I wanted to know if you wanted to talk about your memorable LGBTQ mentors.
Absolutely. I actually had a really great mentor. His name was Colin Johnstone. He's a retired clinical practitioner and veterinary parasitologist. He was my parasitology professor in school. And I remember first seeing him, and I didn't know he was gay. He was just like a nice older guy. And we actually connected because when Clinton was running for his second term, I facilitated a student voting process where if you were an out-of-state student, you would be able to vote and still have your vote have impact. And so that kind of caused him to reach out to me, and I was just during the process of like my coming out. So when I did come out, he was very welcoming into like the student LGBT community, and he and his partner would hold gatherings for veterinary students where we would go to their house and have dinners and parties and things like that. And actually at University of Pennsylvania, the small animal facility is in downtown Philadelphia, but the large animal facility is in New Bolton's, it's called New Bolton Center. It's in Kennett Square, about 45 miles away. So when I was doing my rotations out there during the third and fourth year, they invited me to stay in their guest house. So he really made my life a lot easier, because a lot of other people had to rent houses or drive every day to and from Philadelphia to New Bolton Center, or stay. The student dorms were being renovated, so they had trailers. Like, I don't want to stay in a trailer. I would stay in a trailer if I had to. But so Dr. Johnstone really facilitated my ease of trying to be more dedicated to my personal beliefs and to my school work as well. And even now, he's retired from Penn, but he lives in Boston, in Brookline. And so when I go to see my family in the summertime, I always make time to spend time with Dr. Johnstone and his partner. So it's been a nice ongoing relationship.
Well, that's wonderful. And clearly as students, we're heavily involved in issues on LGBTQ causes. And so we're just wondering if you have any words of advice to students such as ourselves, like especially in terms of involvement in extracurricular activities and being out in certain application processes, like for example for vet school itself for the pre-veterinary students out there, or for externships and jobs for current students. If you have any advice.
I think probably my main advice to vet students to probably like just stay true to who you are and not be, especially like this day and age, things have changed. People are much more accepting of the LGBT lifestyle. And so having that be who you are and having it be obvious, and being willing to talk about it with people and to show that you're just a person like they are, you are different, but it doesn't make you that different, really. You still want the same things that most people want in terms of achieving success personally and professionally, having a family, having a life, and there's a lot of commonality there. So when it comes to being part of a student group, I think that's great, really kind of being a role model within your industry as well, where you can help other people through your experience. When it comes to looking for jobs and things like that, if you're asked about it, don't lie about it. You might be more comfortable focusing on places where that kind of lifestyle might be a little more accepted, which tends to be more towards metropolitan areas. Yes, it is kind of growing out into the suburbs too, but I just feel as though focusing more on where you're accepted is an important thing to do, instead of always putting yourself up against adversity, especially when you're first starting to work. You're just learning the ropes, and you don't want to be fighting a battle just because of your sexual orientation, when you're really needing to focus on gaining clinical experience. So working in a practice that is in a metropolitan area or adjacent that maybe even has an LGBT member, and relying on resources in the professional community, like working with the LGVMA, so they can potentially help you to get connected with role models in the industry.
Right. And along those lines, we're seeing a lot of social change in terms of acceptance. In terms of the veterinary field in particular, have you ever had any positive or negative experiences as an out male veterinarian?
Interesting question. I think in moving to West Hollywood, certainly I was embraced by the veterinary community, by the pet loving and owning community there, and at the veterinary practice I worked at, there's another gay male vet who's a little bit older than I was, and people would confuse us because we look similar and have blonde hair and things like that. And so I was like the other gay vet. Or people would write comments on sites, and I was the hot vet that saw them. And that's been said about, and I don't look at myself that way, and that's been said about, like, on Teddy Hilton, I've had people write comments about that too. So it's always kind of funny to read those things. I haven't necessarily had any negative experiences, except for when I wrote about how I represent myself in the veterinary community as an LGBT veterinarian, and I said that people, I feel, in the West Hollywood community, they come to me in part because I'm gay, and people criticize me for that, but I'm not making this up. I'm just pointing out that this is an observation that I see, where because I understand what it's like to be a LGBT member and pet owner, I can help them to manage their pets' illnesses.